Next time on Adventures in Heels.
What do you want? What is on your heart?
I've got my end game. I know what I want to accomplish. Now I can start planning every step back to where I am right now, and I know the steps I need to go to get there.
If you are regularly doing things to make you uncomfortable, it means you're making strides towards something that you really want. Whatever's important to you, you have to have this in your mind.
Adventures in Heels, Mondays, twice a month on thebosley.net.
It's
Honestly,
never too late to start.
My man Junior on the motherfucking beat with some straight up heat.
Kush Hay Show. Kush Hay Show. The Kush Hay Show. The Kush Hay Show.
Microdose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here. Episode 7 of the Microdose coming to you on this Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day for those of you celebrating on the 14th. And if you're picking this up after the 14th, I hope you had a great day, regardless of what you did or who you did it with, even if you didn't do it with anybody. Kush, we just had the Oscars the other day. Are we going to talk about that? No. Fact of the matter is, it's been a week, 5 days since the Oscars now, and there isn't anything I can add to this conversation that you haven't already heard from the multiple industry sites, the YouTubers, the various podcasters, your AM morning zoo crew, etc., etc., etc. Everyone's already had an opinion on this. It's fine. I love Parasite. I'm very happy it won. I honestly thought 1917 would have taken it just because of that language barrier. Pleasantly surprised to be wrong. Totally screwed up my Oscar pool, though, and I will not be winning free tickets for a year at the Balboa Theater in San Francisco. Sucks to be me. Well, Kush, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what I did not have the strength or energy to write last night in 400 words. I saw a screening of a movie called The Lodge. Got a 2019 date on it, so I imagine it entered multiple film festivals and all that. I had only seen a few trailers for it, and most of the time I'm positive I was getting it mixed up with The Turning, which I still haven't seen, and from everything I've heard, I am grateful for not seeing, despite having a Kush Hayes show on The Turning, shared with The Gentleman. Go see The Gentleman, everybody. Wonderful movie. However, we are talking about The Lodge. It's a generic title. It's a generic movie. It's a generic script. I mean, it tries to add some suspense. It tries to add, are there ghosts here? No, they're not. Alamo Drafthouse is calling this the first good horror movie of 2020, and I would like to slap that person in the face. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to just go immediately to violence, but this was not a horror movie. The suspense is not good. It's only a horror movie if you base it on the fact that everybody in this movie is unlikable. Unfortunately, everyone was also irredeemable. And everyone does the exact opposite what common sense would dictate. The only problem with that, though, is that, again, none of the characters are likable. Even if that character's death is 100% guaranteed, you need just the smallest reason to pull through for them, to want them to survive the experience. That when they don't, you feel hurt for it as well. None of that is the case in this movie. There's a directing team, Fiala and France. I'm sorry, I'm not using their first names. They also wrote this movie with someone named Cassie. I may be spelling that wrong. Everything about this movie indicates to me that it's an Italian movie. It's a Canadian movie, even worse. Well, Kush, can you let us know what is this movie about? Yeah, and you know what? I think just because of my dislike for it so much, I'm going to just go spoiler. So if you really, 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 really want to see The Lodge, even if you don't want to see it in theaters, thank you for coming to the Microdose. Subscribe, like, share, tell your friends, Twitter, etc., etc. But we may be going into spoilers here, so you've been warned. Husband and wife going through a messy divorce. The husband within this divorce finally says to his wife, his separated wife, hey, this woman I've been cheating on you with, we're getting very serious, and I'm going to finalize our divorce, and I'm going to marry her. The wife, devastated by this news, already walking on eggshells prior to this point, offs herself. Alicia Silverstone is the mother in this situation here, and her 3 minutes, fantastic. She's the best part of the movie. I wish she hadn't killed herself. Despite it being blunt, it's very brief. It's a good scene. It's a good setup. It's a good scene. Might be the only nice thing I have to say about this movie. We then spend the next 23 minutes grieving for these children who were affected by their mom's loss. The dad is he's in this weird space. You feel slightly bad for him because he didn't want this. You know he didn't want this. He just wanted to start a new life with this new woman that he's very fond of. And we don't meet her for 25 minutes in the movie. We see shadows of her. We see a silhouette of her. We see just the smallest profile of her through fuzzy glass. She's almost set up to be the villain in this movie. And finally, 25 minutes later, we meet her in the car with her little dog. God damn that dog. And she just goes, "Hi. Good to see you." It's very benign. It's a lot of nothing. Leading up to all this, though, the dad actually has the nerve to ask his kids on Thanksgiving, "Hey, I'm still seeing this woman that your mom killed herself over, and Christmas is coming. How about the four of us go to the family lodge where, we used to have all those great times with your mom? Oh, by the way, it's unclear whether I'm a private detective or an investigative journalist, but I'm going to have to leave you up there in the winter for days." The kids are like, "No, this is a terrible idea." And they're just insulted, and they don't want to be a part of it. Dad tries to make it sound like he's not making this happen. He's trying to make this seem like they're going to be okay with this, and they keep telling you, "No, we're not okay with this." Even the would-be stepmom, whose name is Grace, by the way, even Grace, once we get to a point where the old man is like, "Yeah, work, despite hanging out on the frozen lake and you almost drowning in it, I gotta go do this work thing. So be good with the kids. I know I'm saying, are you okay with them? But I really don't care because I'm going to leave you up here with them. The responsible thing would be to take everybody back to the city. But I'm going to leave the three of you up here. I will be back in 2 days. It's only a 6-hour drive. You motherfucker, come back in 2 days with the rest of your family if it's only a 6-hour drive." So the dad's a big doofus. Going back to the part where it's unclear if he's an investigative journalist or some kind of private eye or a detective or something, the kids snoop around his computer one night, and they're going through his files and all that, and they discover that Dad's been researching this suicide cult, for the lack of a better phrase, where everyone killed themselves. Suicide, big thing in this movie. It's weird. Everyone in this cult committed suicide except for one person, because someone had to roll the video camera, and that was Grace. Regardless of what Dad's occupation is, it feels really irresponsible for him to be dating somebody from whatever it is the subject is he's investigating. Or he's a completely terrible investigator. I hate this fucking dad. So we're on the trip. We're at the lodge. Grace is almost drowned, trying to save one of the children. Everyone seems to be unfazed by this except for Grace. Grace is taking medication. It's unclear if whether or not this is actually medication for her or if she's just abusing barbiturates or whatever it is. But Grace is definitely popping pills, and she is hiding it from the dad, who, again, being a journalist or an investigator, should probably be aware of this. Grace is trying to make the best of it with the kids. The kids are just giving her the stink eye and saying everything but fuck you to her. The daughter, I don't know where we've seen her before. The son played Bill, young Bill, in the last two Stephen King's It, even though it wasn't called that. They're respectively, between 8 and 12. The boy is older, the daughter is younger. But these are like two very mature 8 and 12-year-olds. We're going to get into that in a minute here. So Grace is trying to make the best of it. Hey kids, you want lunch? Fuck you. She's just putting up, eating all this shit, popping her pills as seen as needed. And then something happens where the dog is missing. The dog is missing. There's a blizzard going on, by the way, and there's, neighbors aren't for miles. The nearest town isn't for miles, let alone where are the neighbors, despite being on this frozen pond. This, of course, puts Grace in a bummer mood. She really likes the dog, as why shouldn't she? And then, after a few nightmares, she wakes up one day and all of her stuff is gone. And then a bunch of items in the house are missing. And even the kids' clothes and their gimmicks and all that stuff, everything's missing. There's only a little bit of food left, and it's weird that that's there. But even then, like, the refrigerator's empty. I'm not sure why the fridge is empty and the cabinets aren't, as we'll get to in a little bit. And Grace is convinced that the kids are fucking with her. Occam's razor, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. The kids are fucking with me. However, they're like, we don't know what's going on. Our stuff is missing too. Look, we'll look wherever you need us to look, but we don't know where anything is. And Grace slowly descends into madness. The kids are going through hardship, as anyone in a blizzard does. They don't know what to do. They're running out of food. Grace is like, we should walk. The boy is like, no. At one point, Grace just packs her bag and she abandons the kids. Terrible idea. But she walks and she walks and she finds another house and there's no one there. And she's having flashbacks of her time in the cult. And we're hearing voiceovers from a past we don't know anything about. And so, a lot of the time this movie is going, well, is there a supernatural thing happening? No. Maybe someone from the cult also survived and is fucking with him. Spoiler, no. We're under the impression Grace walks in a straight line only to end up back at the house. Very Blair Witch style, but it happens. She comes in, the kids warm her up, generally concerned for her, which is a nice thing to see finally. There's a lot of dry dialogue in this, so I don't recall what happens. The next thing I know, the dog is found. He's frozen to death, but the dog was found. The little girl is crying. She says, I'm sorry, I accidentally left the door open. The dog got out. I didn't say anything. I'm so sorry. We then hear the little girl cry out, Grace! And we find Jaden Martell, who's been going by the name Aiden, has hung himself. And it is graphic, and he is dangling there. And then all of a sudden, his eyes pop open, and he starts talking to Grace. And Grace is like, I'm having the worst hallucination. I need my pills. And he's talking about, like, we're already dead, Grace. This is purgatory. We can't die any further. Like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Because the next scene, Aiden's walking around like nothing has happened. Because nothing has happened. And Grace is just broken at this point. Like, she thinks that because of her actions now, she's caused her boyfriend's son to kill himself. She's still carrying some of the guilt from Alicia Silverstone, which had nothing to do with her. And she is shattered now. And then we see a scene where the 8-year-old and the 12-year-old are in the basement, and they move a panel, and sure enough, there's every missing thing in the house, including Grace's pills, which they give to her, but it is too late. It's at this reveal that the movie is just 100% garbage. I don't know why kids would put themselves in this position. Not going to tell you any bit more of the movie. There's like 10 minutes left. It's just dull. It's dull. It's dull. It's dull. It's dull. There's no suspense. Once we get past Mom's funeral, it just goes downhill from there. Again, I hated everybody in this movie, including Grace. I hated the boy, hated the daughter, despite feeling sorry for her just a tiny bit, but I don't care. There's no elements of horror here, but death is a real thing. Lots of weight on suicide with no message that I picked up. I was very restless during this movie. The woman sitting next to me, who I'm not 100% sure actually reserved that seat, she was restless to the point where she's just, literally curled up in a ball. The Lodge, brought to you by Neon Pictures. This movie upset me to the point where I was just like, I do not want to waste 400 words on this, on a Google Doc. I am exhausted for it. Kush, what do you rate it? I give it 1 blueberry out of 5. I should probably give it 0 blueberries, but I'm just gonna... It didn't do anything for me. I hated the story. I hated the characters, the performances or whatever, but I hated the characters and couldn't get out of my seat fast enough when the credits started rolling. Folks, this is a great place to stop. This has been our Microdose, episode 7 of the Microdose version 2. For more Microdoses, check out the RSS feed, Kush and Kai. You'll find 94 other Microdoses there, as well as the previous 6 that I've done here with the Bosley. Microdose was established 2018. Follow me on Twitter at Kush_Hayes. Check out Adventures in Heels, new episode Monday, where we're forecasting what is your endgame. Yeah, it's going to be a great episode with Amanda Thomas and Herschel Elkins. That's every other Monday on the Bosley. Stay tuned for more reviews. Maybe I'll have a review of Fantasy Island tomorrow. Looking forward to that, but I'm not holding my breath on that to be any good either. Folks, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you. I am So Loco. Play us out of here.
Kush Hayes Show. The Kush Hayes Show. The Kush Hayes Show.
Microdose.
Life is so short.
From thebosley.net.
Welcome to the Adventures in Heels podcast.
Adventures in Heels.
I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Hosted by Amanda Thomas.
I've been a business owner for 5 years. I'm going to be really vulnerable with you guys on every episode.
Curated specifically for savvy women with impeccable taste who want to have it all while owning their own business at the same time.
Was I ready? No. Was I scared to death? Yes. But it's the best decision I ever made.
Adventures in Heels. New episodes available every other Monday.
No one else is going to do what you do.
Available iTunes, Stitcher, and where major podcasts are streamed.
Follow your dreams.
Adventures in Heels. Hosted by Amanda Thomas. Mondays, twice a month on thebosley.net.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
thebosley.net.
Sit, Bosley, sit.
I'm still seeing this woman that your mom killed herself over.